think a single Republican, or any politician for that matter, would back Trump. Here is where I will defend the situation. Before you call me a monster and an animal for defending the situation, I will say this. The cop was following the procedure.
Never said I oppose fracking. Show the tape. Put it on your website. Put it on. Put it on the website.
Live from Clark Studios in Rochester, New York. Broadcasting around the world. You're listening to You Made It Political, where the voice of the keyboard warrior is finally heard and the arguments presented are put to the political test. And now, here's your host, Matt Clark.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to You Made It Political. Today is Monday morning, the start of another week, the start of more insanity, more chaos, more controversy across the political spectrum, and we're going to bring it all to you live right now today. As if the CDC wasn't causing enough ruin amongst our children's lives, they decide to now come out and give us their blessing as to how our children are now allowed to attend summer camp. We all know America is a complete dictatorship. The Democrats have taken control. They're using CNN, the CDC, and every other left-wing media outlet or health organization to push and promote their draconian and completely anti-American agenda. But what I saw this weekend takes things to an entire new level. And it doesn't just have to do with summer camp. It also has to do with how we are now using our children as propaganda pieces to push the Democrats' transgender socialist agenda, particularly in the classroom. So we're going to get into all of this today. We're also going to tackle another shooting. It's like every freaking day there is another shooting here in America that the world can't seem to get their head around, that these things happen because people are criminals. People keep doing bad things. There's another shooting in North Carolina, and the children and the schools are all protesting now, and they're going remote again, all because of a freaking shooting. So we'll get into that, and we'll also cover why on earth Kamala Harris is still not going to the southern border. A lot of drama, a lot of controversy, a lot of mayhem right here in America. But are you surprised? This is the deal. And get used to it, people, because it's here to stay. Let's over to CNN, where we start our story today with what the CDC is now telling us we're allowed to do when it comes to enrolling our kids in summer camps. Let's get into the show. So, CNN, obviously, loves this shit. I mean, they love it. CNN, every moment that CNN has to just push the propaganda and the insanity, they freaking jump on. Okay, we know this. So now we're getting ready to enroll our kids in summer camp, which is starting to sound a little bit more like summer hell, according to how the CDC is now recommending that our kids go to summer camp. First of all, summer camp's outside. It's outside. These kids are supposed to be running around freely, enjoying their life as if they haven't been through enough this year with the freaking masks and the social distancing and the psychological damage that's already been done to them for both the children and the parents. Because let's be honest, this has been a really rough ride for everybody over the last year. It's been over a year now. We've reduced social distancing to 3 feet. It's not good enough for the schools, and apparently it's not good enough for summer camps. So when I read this, I was not surprised. The only surprising thing to me now is who the hell would actually send their kids into these summer Nazi camps? Because that's exactly what they are. This isn't fun. I'd rather my kid be at home than go to these camps. So what's going on here? Well, the CDC says in a newly updated guidance. I'm so sick of the freaking CDC, by the way. When will they shut the hell up? Why does anybody care what the CDC has to say anymore? They've got it wrong a million times. They constantly flip-flop, and when you actually do follow the science, you're going to really very quickly realize that none of it makes sense. I mean, like, none of it now. But here the CDC are. once again, controlling our children's lives. And they've now issued new guidance for summer camps that people who can get vaccinated against COVID-19 should do so. Well, no shit. We know that. Doesn't mean we're gonna. Okay, we know you want the world vaccinated. We know you want to push your propaganda machine so that you can make all these companies the money that they want to make because they're all in bed together. So they want all these kids to now get vaccinated. Okay. Even though I don't even know if the vaccination's out for the kids yet, but this is the direction we're headed. But everyone should wear masks. Distance is still necessary, and staying outdoors is best. It's summer camp. Who plays indoors to begin with? So they're updating their COVID-19 guidance for summer camps, emphasizes getting vaccinated. They won't shut up with the vaccine. I mean, it's all get vaccinated, do your part. It's lunacy, okay? So they still want to push this on us, and they're now talking about wearing masks. So exactly how insane are the guidelines? Well, let's take a look here. The guidelines here are now, recommending that we get even more insane when it comes to summer camp now, okay? So decrease the risk of getting and spreading COVID-19, the CDC is recommending that campers do not engage, okay? So listen to this. Campers should not engage in close contact sports. What else do you do at summer camp besides play contact sports? That's the whole purpose of summer camp. It's to go out there, run around, tackle each other, get dirty, and have the time of your life. But the CDC says no, you're not allowed to engage in close contact sports. If you choose to play close contact or indoor sports, reduce your risk by getting vaccinated. No, getting vaccinated is not the prerequisite for playing sports. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. I don't give a shit what Fauci says. I don't care what the CDC says. I don't care what anybody says, quite frankly. The fact of the matter is, you do not need to get vaccinated to play a sport. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are not and who will absolutely not get vaccinated just to participate in summer camp. But the CDC says to reduce your risk, do that. Okay. Well, we'll see how many parents actually do it. As long as it's still an option, I'm guessing most people will not. When a vaccine is available to you. Wearing a mask. So now these kids got to run around in 90-degree freaking weather wearing a mask all day. That's the deal. So it's 90-degree weather. They're going to be wearing these face diaper cloths on their face. They're going to be sweating everywhere. I mean, my kid can barely breathe with it on dry. What are they going to do when this thing's soaking wet within 5 seconds? I mean, can we use our heads here, people? And what blows my mind is that parents are putting these children through this instead of standing up to the summer camps, threatening them financially and saying, you know what? The hell with your rules. We're not enrolling our kids. Then we actually might see these summer camps change their tune. Because that's the only thing that seems to matter here in America is money. And when we push back and we threaten, these businesses actually do change their mind. Because at the end of the day, they're no Mother Teresa. They don't really give a shit about ethics and morals. They care about one thing, their bottom line. They're in business to make money. If no campers enroll in these camps, they're not going to make money. So it blows my mind that these parents are saying, screw you and these ridiculous rules, we're not going to follow them. And then when that happens and nobody enrolls in these camps, the camps might say, whoa, wait a second, fine. All right, no masks, but we're going to limit activities. Okay, fair enough. There's no negotiation process ever in America anymore. It's one side thinks they know best, and they want to dictate to the other side exactly what's going to go down, and you're going to obey and cooperate with zero question to our rules. And that is the reason that we are in this state in America. In the UK and in Europe, they've had enough. Tens of thousands of people are protesting in the UK. Hundreds of thousands of people are protesting in Germany, Poland. You won't see any of this in the local media. Why? Because America doesn't want you to know that there is global unrest right now, that there is global civil disobedience going on in the UK and Europe, in other emerging markets in Eastern Europe. They're pissed. They have had enough. They've put their foot down. So much so that the UK is finally now saying, okay, fine, we're going to allow some music award to go on where 4,000 people are showing up, no social distancing, no masks. They're calling it an experiment. I don't believe that. I think the people have finally got their way. But of course, the government's going to spin it as, well, hold on, this is an experiment. Let's just see what happens. Well, call it whatever you want. Because if you didn't have your so-called experiment, you'd have a lot more catastrophic situation on your hands. Because from what I see, video footage over in the UK, these people are pissed off. And if you don't start letting them live their normal lives again, you're going to have a lot more to deal with than 4,000 people at a music award. So the same thing goes back to what we're letting our government get away with here in America and our schools and now our summer camps. Do you see how insane this whole thing is getting? And they're going to keep pushing until we finally step up and start fighting back. That's all it's going to take. Go on YouTube, look for protests going on in UK and Europe. You'll find tons. Look for the hundreds of thousands of people that are marching in the streets. Look for the freedom rallies that they're holding. CNN won't show you. MSN won't show you. Most of the mainstream media will not show you. This is what happens in China. It's a communist country. The media controls what they want you to see and what they don't want you to see. China would never show their citizens a video of a protest because they don't want their own people getting it in their heads that if they rise up together, they actually might cause change. They might actually get their way because that is how the real world works. So the United States is now following the same communistic playbook that China takes the lead on when it comes to their media. That's why you're not seeing any of this. And this is why the CDC and Fauci and the idiots in the White House are constantly getting away with ramming these draconian and completely anti-American measures down our throats. Because this is not constitutional in any means what they're doing to our children. So, the kids have to mask up, social distancing at summer camp, no contact sports, and if you play outside, if you play outside, stay at least 6 feet away from others and avoid crowds. First of all, it's not 6 feet. The CDC has decreased it to 3 feet. Stanford actually did a study, and MIT has now done a study that this social distancing bullshit is complete false. It makes no difference to you getting coronavirus or not. I mean, they have studies now. MIT, Stanford, they've come out with studies. Social distancing is a joke. We all know the masks are a joke. We know that it doesn't actually block the transmission. Yet everybody seems to want to go with this agenda. And I'm baffled by the fact that so many Americans right here want to comply, that they continue to follow the narrative. So updated guidance for overnight camps also suggests staff, volunteers, campers, and family members get vaccinated. So they're now, look what they're doing here. They're getting you ready for school. They're telling you that your campers should get vaccinated. I wasn't aware that there was a vaccination under 12 years old. I don't think there is. I think it's only for 12 and over. They're now slowly starting to indoctrinate you into the idea that your children are about to get vaccinated, whether you like it or not. That is, of course, unless you want to pull them out of school completely, which a lot of people are doing, and rightly so. Because this is where we have to draw the line. Campers and staff who aren't fully vaccinated should be asked to provide proof of a negative viral test taken no more than 1 to 3 days before arriving at camp. Look how stupid this is. So what if I show up with a negative test 1 to 3 days before camp. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to catch it at camp that afternoon and they get everybody infected the next week. I mean, how dumb are these people? Everything that they come out with completely contradicts each other. And I don't have to be a scientist. I don't have to be a local health official. I just have to read and do my research and have a freaking brain to understand that none of this makes sense. This is why I always laugh when people are like, well, you either have to produce a proof of vaccination or a negative test. I was like, who gives a shit if I show you a negative test from 72 hours ago? It doesn't mean I didn't contract it at Wegmans on the way over here. So people don't think. Nobody wants to question each other anymore. Nobody wants to say, hey, this sounds a little bit stupid and crazy. But no, every time we do that, we're considered the conspiracy theorists. That's how ridiculous this whole thing is. So if you go to overnight camp now, they want you to be vaccinated. They want the campers, the staffers, everybody, just the whole world. You want to go to camp, get vaccinated. Campers and staff who aren't fully vaccinated should be asked to provide proof of a negative test no more than 1 to 3 days before arriving at camp. Camp should also request that campers, their families, and camp staff follow guidance for travelers. Now this is what you should do. Now they want you to ask unvaccinated campers and staff members to engage in a 2-week pre-arrival quarantine. So now you have to quarantine. During summer break, your kid needs to sit in his room and do nothing before summer camp. Who the hell would sign up for summer camp right now? Who on earth? You have to pay for this bullshit. You guys realize that, right? You actually have to pay to participate in insanity. Like, I'm not going to participate for free, let alone pay you to participate in this nonsense. So they want you to do a 2-week quarantine, avoid unnecessary travel, and refrain from indoor social gatherings with people outside of your household. So don't play with anybody in the neighborhood. Don't have a summer. If you want to go to summer camp, you're not allowed to actually have a summer before summer camp. Sit in your room, and then when you come home for summer camp of hell, so you go to your summer camp, it's total hell. The whole thing sucks because you're running around with a face diaper on your face, sweating. It's like you can't even really do no contact sports. But when you're done with hell, come home and go back into quarantine for 7 more days. If you're not fully vaccinated and you need to get a test, get another test. These freaking tests. Oh my, it's like we are so dumb. These goddamn tests every day. It's like, get a test, get a test. Can we stop testing? All right. If I have coronavirus, I'll let you know. Trust me. We don't need a test to prove I have coronavirus. From what I hear, this thing's like the bubonic plague from what I hear. Okay. Remember, people are dying in the streets. People are falling over. Hospitals are overrun. IC units can't keep up. Although I don't know a single person who has it right now. Although people who do claim they have it on Facebook tell me that they're on their deathbed. They're like, oh, I can't believe you would act like this. I'm on my deathbed. I have it. It's hell. I was like, buddy, if you're on your deathbed, you wouldn't be freaking replying to my Facebook comments right now. Okay. You'd probably be intubated on a freaking ventilator, literally on your deathbed. You wouldn't be replying on Facebook, trying to prove to the world how deathly ill you are. Okay. So the whole thing's insane. These kids now have to live a summer from hell to now participate in summer camp. And they also won't be able to play contact sports. That's how outrageous this is. Now, I can't be the only person who thinks this whole thing is an absolute joke. I can't be. There's got to be other people. Let's go to the Keyboard Warrior Cam and see what other Americans have to say about the insanity of how our kids now need to, or the guidelines they need to follow when planning on going to summer camp. So the CDC has updated COVID-19 guidance for summer camps, emphasizes getting vaccinated, wearing masks, and blah, blah, blah. So Joyce says, now remember, we're on CNN, so I can't promise these comments are going to be logical or of sane thought, but we'll see what people have to say. Joyce says, sorry to break your bubble, people, but we don't wear a mask outside, and we do not live indoors. We do what we want. We are vaccinated, so why do we still have to cower? Maybe that is why people won't get the vaccine. Nothing changes after getting it unless you let it. Great comment, Joyce. So glad we started with a sensible comment today. Very good comment. And this is the thing that we're seeing now. Everybody who's vaccinated still needs to follow these insane rules. So why is that going to incentivize me to run down to CVS and get the shot? If I see everybody who's already got it still has to live a life of hell, still has to wear a mask, and has God knows injected into them, then why on earth am I going to take the risk? Nothing's changed. I still can't go see my mom in a nursing home without a mask and proof of everything else. So I'd rather not have the vaccine and still have to mask up. So the whole thing is just insane. It's a great comment. And Joyce is right. Sorry to break your bubble. Okay? They don't wear a mask outside. We do not live out indoors. We do what we want. And that's that. Kay says, what guidelines does Joe and Kara have for the summer for the kids in the border housing? Ask yourself that. I think she meant Kamala. What guidelines does Joe and Kamala have for the summer for the kids in the border housing? Ask yourself that before you ship your kid off to wearing a mask all summer outside. They playing with your kids' minds. That's true. What the hell's going on at the border? It's a free-for-all down there. You got all these illegal immigrants coming in. Nobody's wearing a mask at the border. They're all coming in with their COVID, bringing it into the United States. Why don't we care more about that? Speaking of that, where's Kamala? Why isn't Kamala down at the border? She keeps blaming COVID. So Kamala is not down there because she wants to blame it all on COVID. Representative Troy Nehls, Republican from Texas, told Fox and Friends Vice President Kamala Harris is using COVID-19 as an excuse to avoid visiting the southern border. Yet, it's a free-for-all down at the southern border. Do you see how insane this whole thing is? Like, all you have to do is take a little bit or do a little bit of research to know this whole thing is just a mind game right now. That's what it is. It's a mind game. Kamala Harris won't even go down to the southern border because she's so deathly afraid of coronavirus. Bullshit. She's not going down to the southern border because the second she goes down there, she'll admit or have to lie about the fact that there's no crisis. So you can't go down there, witness a crisis, then come back and say there's no crisis. Well, now you're just a goddamn liar. You're just lying, Kamala. But that's what they do. That's what the Democrats do these days. They lie about everything. Even about the poll ratings. Recent poll ratings suggest that Joe Biden, 54% approval rating. Did they actually poll anybody alive? Because I don't think any living person would consider this job a job well done. So unless they're polling dead people, I find that very hard to believe. Lies and more lies on every front. So back to summer camp. People are clearly outraged and pissed off, furious about this. Parents are like, what the hell? Like I'd ever pay for my kid to go join or belong or participate in this insanity. And they clearly are voicing their concerns and opinions on Facebook. Simon says, get vaccinated, folks. Make America safe for a better, brighter tomorrow. Anyone against being vaccinated is totally out of touch with reality. That looks like an advertisement to me right there. And I'll tell you why I think that's a bot, a propaganda bot. Because every first word is capitalized. That's what I do for my advertising agency when I'm creating ads for headlines. I capitalize every first letter to really stand out and get some sort of attention. So you better believe that's got to be a bot. I mean, it just looks too scripted. Make America safe for a better, brighter tomorrow. It makes me want to freaking puke. Anyone against putting an experimental vaccine is out of touch with reality. I think the only person out of touch with reality is this idiot who made the comment, to be honest. Jenna says, tough call, but I can't see our daughter wearing a mask at camp here in Florida, even though we have the highest cases in the U.S. She doesn't wear one now at her after-school program. She goes 1 day a week for 4 hours. Guess what? She got a cold last month, and the whole house did. They still haven't approved it for young kids unless people are wanting to get vaccinated. It's a good point. I don't think a lot of people are going to want their kids to go to summer camp. We got schools to deal with next. That's going to be our next gripe. Masking in school. People are sick to death of it. Mary says, so they want kids to wear a mask outside like crazy people while staying 6 feet apart? Which one is it, guys? I thought it was wear a mask when you can't social distance. Not both. It was never both. At least in New York State, it is not both. The guidelines by Cuomo is wear a mask when you are unable to maintain social distancing. Maybe just buy them self-contained spacesuits and they can run around like little astronauts. That's exactly what we should be doing. And that's what I've told the teachers. I was like, listen, guys, I love you. Thank you so much for doing your best to educate our kids and be there for them. But if you're nervous, put a hazmat suit on. Teach inside a plexiglass bubble. I mean, come on. Stop taking it out on the kids. It's not their situation or their problem, all right? The fact that somebody ate a bat in China and then gave COVID to the rest of the world shouldn't be our kids' issue. Carrie says maybe they should work on a cure instead of these fake preventatives that change nothing. Use the medicines that were helping people early on, and remember, everybody reacts different to medications and vaccines, so use several options regardless of how little big pharma will benefit. I don't know why they don't use these other types of medications that we know worked. Maybe not for everybody, but it worked. Here's a great comment. So then what of the MIT study? Remember, I told you guys this in the beginning. I said there's an MIT study going around that proves social distancing is all bullshit. So then what of the MIT study that says you're no safer at 60 feet than you are at 6 feet? When are we going to start listening to MIT and Stanford? Why do we keep listening to the propaganda medical machine, CDC and Fauci? Because that's all it is at this point. It's not science anymore, people. I stopped following the science when I noticed that Florida and Texas, who had no mask mandates and no lockdowns, actually did better than New York and California. Like, I don't care what you want to call me for thinking this, but the one thing you can't call me is uneducated or misinformed, or you can't accuse me of spreading misinformation, because I went to the CDC's website and I looked at Florida, I looked at California, Texas, New York. Florida and Texas were doing better, had half the fatalities completely wide open and no masks than New York and California. Completely masked up, locked down, highest cases. So that's when I personally stopped following the silence. Rob says, I think these rules are excessive, especially as the summer progresses, where due to continued mass vaccination, the hospitalization and mortality rates will be dropping to the levels no higher than those seen during typical flu outbreaks. And we don't impose restrictions on businesses, including mask requirements during the flu season, right? We don't. So let's get back to normal here. People are still going to die, whether you're vaccinated or not. 60 to 80,000 flu deaths occur every year. People get vaccinated all the time with the flu. People still die. People still catch the flu. It's going to happen. You can get vaccinated all you want. You still might get it. You still might die. At some point, we got to get on with our lives. I think if our elected officials don't lift all restrictions on businesses by late spring, or at the very latest, early summer, there should be a public uprising demanding that they do. And I will lead that freaking charge. Let's all be mindful that the reason for all the restrictions is to keep COVID-related hospitalizations and deaths at an acceptable level, not to prevent all of them, which might never happen, even after we reach herd immunity. You think? No shit. It's called science. It's a virus. You're never going to eliminate it, ever. And even if you do miraculously eliminate coronavirus, you're going to have another one to deal with. Remember, we had H1N1 a few years back? Before that, we've had tons of outbreaks. We've never gone this loony over it. I mean, we have some really wacky people running this country right now. If you just kind of take a step back, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, if you just take a step back and you just look at things from a 30,000-foot overview and just stop for a minute and look at the data and look at the science and then look at the insanity. How could you not be baffled by this whole thing? I mean, I feel like I'm in one of those like zombie movies where I'm just trying to make sense of why everybody's going insane. Like, what are they eating? What are they taking? Who's done what to them? Because I can't be, and I'm just like, how do you wake these people up? I don't think you can at this point. It's almost like they don't mind following the insanity. They just don't care. They don't mind it. I mean, somebody asked me the other day, when does this all come to an end? When do we put an end to this? And I said, well, when enough people care. Right now, I don't think in America, at least, enough people are angry about this. Enough people aren't furious with the situation. They don't mind being muzzled all day. And our kids are suffering dramatically. Our kids are suffering. And speaking of children, the most disgusting thing I have now seen in recent weeks is the fact that, and this is nuts, this is absolutely freaking nuts. Here is your new propaganda piece, ladies and gentlemen. The Democrats, because I can't imagine Republicans ever doing something so insane like this, the Democrats are now using fourth graders, little kids, to promote transgender. This girl here, this fourth grader, is one of several transgender kids in Texas standing up to legislators, speaking to pass bills that would limit their rights. They are now using children like this to now go up against legislators and overturn transgender limits that the states have placed. Fourth graders. What the hell does a fourth grader know about what she doesn't know what she wants to be when she grows up, let alone whether she wants to be a girl or a boy right now. And they are now pushing this on these children. Let's take a look at a video here on Twitter. This one lady claims, watched the amazing Kai Shapley, a huge fan of Dolly Parton, fourth grader, and a transgender girl. Okay, so now transgender is normal in fourth grade. Okay, it's like all of a sudden accepted. All of a sudden, after the radical progressive left wanted to start indoctrinating transgender into school, all of a sudden, these kids are like, duh, I've been a transgender since I was 3 years old. You didn't know? Finally, I get a voice. So this girl's now come out. She's a transgender who goes to a school in Texas. So fourth grader and a transgender girl school the Texas Senate. So this lady thinks she schooled the Texas Senate. And especially Senator Brian Hughes, once again, on how bad their anti-trans bills will be for the trans youth if passed. Of course, they will ignore her plea, and I hope they do. Let's take a listen to this girl. Completely scripted. I'm sorry. This is so fake on all levels, and it's disgusting and asinine that they're actually using these children now to push their transgender agenda. Let's take a look.
Kai Shapley, introduce yourself and give us your testimony. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Kai Shapley. I love ballet, math, science, and geology. I spend my free time with my cats, chickens, FaceTiming my friends, and dreaming of when I will finally meet Dolly Parton. I do not like spending my free time asking adults to make good choices. I've been having to explain myself since I was 3 or 4 years old. Texas legislators have been attacking me since pre-K. I am in 4th grade now. When it comes to bills that target trans youth, I immediately feel angry. It's been very scary and overwhelming. It It makes me sad that some politicians use trans kids like me to get votes from people who hate me just because I exist. God made me. God loves me for who I am, and God does not make mistakes. You should be careful how you treat the least of these. Please just listen to me, hear me. Try to educate yourselves. Try to understand everybody. My mom has been giving everything she has to stand up for me. With these new things y'all are trying to do, we both are having to advocate for each other because you are now targeting a great mom and a great nurse. My mom needs her nursing license to take care of me and my siblings. Bullying is bad. Please stop. Don't make bad choices. It's never too late to turn it around. And I want to say thank you to those of you who are sticking up for kids like me. By the time I am in college, you will be celebrated in the history books.
Okay, so clearly we have, first of all, this girl claims that she's been attacked since pre-K. Okay, I've never heard of any, I mean, my son's about to go into pre-K. The kid, all he wants to do in life is just break his toys and build Legos and whatever else a little 4-year-old does. Run around and just be crazy. And he has no idea what a transgender is. He barely even knows what a girl is. I mean, let's be honest. He doesn't have really many emotions at all about this. He might, but he's certainly not talking about them. So you got these kids now going on camera, completely being used as propaganda pieces. I mean, she needs to go back to school and have fun and forget all this right now. Just go live your life. When you're 18 years old or when you get a little bit older, then maybe you can start to think about all these feelings and go talk to somebody who actually has a degree and is qualified to talk to you about this, not your school teacher, not your art teacher. Okay? Because trust me, she's not qualified to discuss this with you. So she claims that she's been attacked since pre-K and that her mom, and then she brings in her mom, who's like a struggling nurse, which has nothing to do with anything. This is reality TV, typical American self-righteous me crap that Americans are obsessed with. Does she sound like she's even remotely going the direction of a boy? I mean, you don't get any more princess than that. That girl was not convincing. That was a complete act. I don't believe it for a second. And I think it's child abuse that her parents are even putting her through this. All not even to promote an agenda, just all for fame. I mean, this is all these kids want now. Listen to the way she's talking. The whole thing's scripted from start to finish. I mean, she sounds like a little actress. She should be on Disney Kids, not going up against Texas legislators, which we all know they're not going to overrule anything for a 4th grader. I mean, who do they think they're kidding? Who actually buys into this crap? So it's very dangerous. We got this little girl now, 4th grader, and I'll be very curious as to see what the comments are on this, because I can't be the only one who thinks this entire thing is beyond outrageous. Abby says, why are you applauding child abuse? This boy, I guess, I know she calls herself a boy. I don't see anything manly about the way she's acting. I mean, look at her hair. It's all done up. Beautiful dress. She's a beautiful girl. Very cute kid. I think she's seriously confused, and I think she is now just going through the motions like beauty pageant children do because of their parents' obsessive wish for their children to become something. I don't know. So Abby says, why are you applauding child abuse? This boy is a 4th grader, for Christ's sake. You should be ashamed that you are taking part in mass child experimentation. It's Munchausen syndrome by proxy, and you should all be in jail. Crystal says, what a brave and beautiful little girl. See, everybody's confused. I thought she was a boy. Now she's a girl. So this person's like calling her a brave girl. Well, no, she's supposed to be a boy, remember? Remember, she wants to go the transgender route. So she's a boy. Crystal says, what a brave and beautiful little girl. She made so much sense and quoted the Bible. At the senators who claim they need this bill for religious reasons. So much. You know what? Even forget religion for a second. Let's just use this bill to stop little children from making disastrous decisions before they're really able to even mentally process this information. Forget religion for a minute. Let's just save the damn kids. Because this is about to be pushed on to our children in school. This will be. It will be pushed onto our children in school, and then there's no going back. What are you going to do as parents when your little 4-year-old comes home or your 5 or 6-year-old comes home and says, hey, you know what, Mom? I think I'm a boy. Whoa, where did this come from? Well, I was talking to Mr. Trinkle, the art teacher, and she says that I should come out with my feelings, and she's getting other kids to do it too. It's like, wait, what the hell? Why are we even having this conversation in school? And even if you felt like this, why are you going to your teacher instead of me, your dad, or your mom? This is the problem I have with this. Not transgenders themselves. I have a problem with the fact that we are pushing this on our youth in school where it's none of their damn business. And that it's about to become the norm in our education system. That we now want to teach children who are in kindergarten sex ed and lay the foundation that will ultimately end up being discussing their sexual identity. I don't think that's a conversation for school. I don't think that's a conversation for teachers or the New York State curriculum or any state curriculum to even have the business in writing. I think that nonsense should be completely left out of the classroom and be discussed at home, where the parents can safely navigate their own children's life. Because nobody knows their kids better than their own parents. Sure, there might be some arguments, there might be some fights, there might be some I hate yous, but that's all part of growing up. That's all part of discussing these very important issues amongst family. So now we have, I mean, this is how dangerous the far radical left is right now. Look what they're doing to this country. Are you guys awake yet? The fact that they constantly they're using our children to change America. They're doing it in school. They're influencing them. We've got critical race theory now going on. And now we've got teaching sexual education as early as kindergarten. At least people here in New York State, Congress members are pushing that on our youth. And they're not offering an opt-out option. So this is going to cause a huge situation at home amongst family members. It's going to cause a divide. As a teacher, the last thing you want to do is push your political views on these children. Hence the reason it's in your contract that you're not allowed to discuss your political views in the classroom. To me, Black Lives Matter and critical race theory falls within politics today because it's all political at the end of the day. You have to take sides. There's no taking sides whether we should treat each other equally. That is a very one-sided topic. And humanity believes, most of us, at least 99.9% of us, believe you should treat every race equally. So teach that in schools. Teach kindness, fairness, and equality. But leave the whole critical race theory crap out of it. Leave the Black Lives Matter out of it. Leave transgender identity out of it. These are very important beliefs that are very two-sided. Maybe just go back to reading, writing, and arithmetic altogether and just leave all this shit out of the classroom because this is bad. This is really dangerous. And I think we're going to see devastating effects throughout America if we don't nip this in the bud ASAP. Emily says things need to change immediately. There is absolutely no reason a child, a fourth grader, needs to be sitting court pleading to be treated fairly and justifying who she is. It's absurd. No, the only thing absurd is that we are pushing this on America right now. The only thing absurd is that this is national news. She should be at home discussing this with her parents. Why does this need to be put all over mainstream media? Why does this need to be pushed on America? This is not an American issue. This is an issue that should be dealt with at home. And if the parents and the children want to decide together, or if the parent wants to discuss, or the child wants to discuss this with their parents and move in the direction that the child feels she or he should move in, that's fine. But it doesn't need to be pushed on to America in general. So, a lot of support from the LGBTQ plus community, obviously. But I think it's absolutely abusive. I think it's disgusting. And I know that the most of the people that I speak to feel similarly. And I think that if we don't start to understand the difference between discussing things at home and in the public, that we're going to have a lot greater divide than just Democrats versus Republicans. You're now going to have parents versus children. And it's already happening. It's happening politically because these teachers and these superintendents won't shut the hell up in who they favor. They keep shaming law enforcement for killing black people without showing the video of what actually happened. So what do you think your kid's going to do when they come home? They'll tell you, well, Mom, you don't know. That cop should have never killed him. So hold on, honey. Did you see the video? Did you see Taniqua go after her throat with a knife? No, you didn't. Do you know what went through that cop's head when he had a 0.5 second split second decision? Whether he was going to shoot to kill or use a taser? No, you don't. Did you see the video of them resisting arrest? No, you didn't. So school is pushing the propaganda agenda that's being passed down by the left onto our children now. And this was where shit is going to get really effed up. Because now you're causing division on the home front. A few comments on my own personal feed. I wrote, sorry guys, this is bullshit on so many levels and dangerous. We are messing with these kids' lives, and no doubt they will push this shit on them in the classroom. It is not their place or business. Kate says that kid shouldn't even know or care what transgender even means. Sickening. Denise says, little boy, you are confused. Just be you, wear a dress, paint your nails, change your name does not change the fact you have a penis and the evidence that says you are XY chromosomes. So sorry for your issues, but do not make them mine. And that's what's going on. Here's a thought. God created man and woman as he is sovereign, and we receive sovereignty from him. Would these transgender people still be looked upon as such, or is there something more sinister possibly happening as they are really going after children? It makes me wonder, why are we doing this to our children? Why has America hijacked our children? Why is the CDC dictating how they attend schools and camps, all for a virus with a 99.7% survival rate? Why are they pushing this stuff in the courtroom? Why are they using fourth graders as propaganda pieces? Sure, a lot of people think this stuff is cute and that she's standing up for her rights. I'm glad for her. I'm glad she's standing up for her rights. That's great. Go be a boy. I don't care. But pushing this on my child, pushing this on American children across the country, you're only opening yourself up for very, very serious problems. So personally, I think we need to keep this insanity out of the classroom. I think we need to go back to teaching math, reading, and arithmetic, and keep critical race theory, keep transgender identity, keep politics out of the classroom. And I think superintendents and teachers need to stop writing home to the children about what they think. No one cares what you think. All we care is that our kids get into Harvard. That's really the only thing I personally give a shit about. So can we just focus on that, please? Because unless Harvard now starts accepting kids into their school based on their transgender views, I'm not interested. And my kid doesn't have time for this. Let's keep the kids on track, okay? And take that conversation and keep it at home where it belongs. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today at You Made It Political. We live stream every morning at 10 a.m. Stay tuned this afternoon. I do another show called The Red, White, and You at 3 p.m. Good night.
Thanks for listening to You Made It Political with Matt Clark. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show. Or leave us a review on iTunes. And if you like our show or want to know more, check out YouMadeItPolitical.com.